afternoon, folks. Stuart's here, but not on camera today. It's just Phil Attridge and myself, Norrie Stewart. Alex Grant's back in Englandshire, looking to his vast business interests, no doubt. FMQs today, and we were having a wee discussion before the start, trying to decide what would come up, and thought one or two things would be avoided rather than brought up.
No allowed for stupidity, eh?
What did you think then?
Well, I thought, Salmond was in classic form today. And you could see he was actually enjoying himself. And I should imagine he was really like Boris Becker, with and his opponent was just heading the ball over, didn't have any arms. Because, he was having an absolutely brilliant day. Joanne just walked into everything. She brought up Grangemouth, which she should have kind of kept quiet on that, and then that opened the door to Falkirk, all these things where she was silent, invisible. Why? Because she wanted to be, or she was told to be.
The thing, she then, when Salmond pointed out, it actually came from her saying that Salmond hadn't done anything.
Yeah, I know.
In a 2-week recess. I'm sorry, he was at least involved.
Very much so.
At best, the leading light in the Grangemouth fiasco. And what really got me was she finished with and my only concern is the people of Scotland, the working people of Scotland, and how badly this one was treated and all the rest of it. She did nothing.
No.
I don't think she gave a single interview during the Grangemouth fiasco.
Oh, she wasn't. She was totally the Falkirk, everything, because they didn't even give her a copy of the report of coming into the carryings on in Falkirk with the Labour selections, Labour candidate selections.
Talking about that, I noticed, is it Stevie Davey?
No, Stevie Deans.
Stevie Deans.
He's quit his job.
At Grangemouth?
Yeah.
Well, apparently his job as convener of the Labour Party...
Oh no, he's the chair of the constituency part of the Labour Party. That's up to the members. That's fine.
According to the papers today, that's on a shiggly peg and all.
Well, it'll probably come up, somebody will probably, I've no doubt, bring up a motion of no confidence or something at the CLP, but that's really up to the membership. Contrary to popular sort of thing, that there is democracy within the Labour Party. Not enough, mind you, but there is some. But also what she brought up was the energy market, which again was such an own goal. Who started this energy market? Who put it? It was in 2000. It was Labour.
Does she think that energy has been suddenly devolved to the Scottish Parliament?
And this whole idea, she support the freeze. This whole idea of a freeze is a good soundbite that came up. Probably something we'll have to do something about it. Let's go for a freeze. And it was quite right. He says, well, they'll just jack the price up before, and they'll jack the price up after. Isn't it more effective to lower the price?
Well, the SNP's position on it seems to be long term. Mm-hmm. Not talk about freeze. Let's get bills down permanently. By taking out the poverty payment element from people's bills, not the green element.
No, not the green element.
Which she didn't seem to get either.
She didn't get what he was going on about at all.
Differentiate. She was shocking today.
Yep, and
she was shocking.
And it was.
And as you commented, her eyes never left the paper.
Oh no!
Apart from when she got annoyed and started talking gobbledygook.
Yeah. Well, apart from that, when she was stupid and she brought up Fred Godfrey. Sorry. Like I said, not only did she take her arms off, she was heading the ball across with no legs either. It was
That was a classic.
It was sad.
And you congratulated Fred Goodwin.
Yes, and united him.
You gave him a knighthood and you gave him a position as a special advisor to the Chancellor.
Change your scriptwriter. She should change her scriptwriter, definitely, or preferably. And I'm sorry, really, they should get a competent leader.
Well,
we should get a competent leader. She's just.
Well, I don't think you can just blame her because surely she's not the only one that's allowed to have an idea, but bereft of ideas.
Well, that's the whole point. They have sound bites and they have little bits, and there's nothing again. But that goes across a lot of politics and a lot of parties, and even the SNP and that. It's hard put. On a really good day, they'll think right up to the next election, but usually it's till next Wednesday.
Yeah.
They always think of a short term, and then they find out they're digging them in. Whereas the Tories have the best attitude in one sense; they don't give a monkeys.
What about Ruth Davison's police counter closures? That's a strange one for me because the whole Tory thing is that we save money.
Yeah, the Tories are cutting the budget, so it's putting them in. They have horrendous savings to do. Police Scotland, but again as well, I'm sorry. When people need the police, they usually tend to phone a lot of the time. Police counters. I mean, the police stations are open. There's just nobody on, and really, if you're looking at efficiency and a copper out on the beat, out there in the community, other than sitting there scratching his head behind the counter for most of the day.
I mean, there is going to be a section of society that are going to miss out because of it. You know, I mean, the older people, they're not going to go online. They're not going to be carrying a mobile. So, I mean, there's reasons for
yeah, but
it.
if you're out and about and you want to see a policeman, then it's really, really bad. And I've no doubt that, I mean, say in Edinburgh, Fetties will still be open. They'll still have a public gathering in Fetties because they're headquarters.
Well, I know in the Borders I had reason, I think, when was it? I can't actually remember where I was. But I wasn't in Galshiels, and I had to contact the police, and they had a phone outside the station. You know, so are we going to go back to a public version of the police phone books, do you think? Well, I don't know.
What, you mean you'll have to close all these coffee shops now?
Well, I mean, technology's going to allow you video links.
Yeah.
So put a video link to the police in your local Tesco's. I don't know. Hopefully we'll hear more about that down the line.
Or maybe if they've got more coppers on the beat, maybe they should look, as you don't have a police station because there's all that associated. But there may be an area, you know, there's in Leith, where would you have a community hub for a policeman? Probably the foot of the wall.
Kirkgate.
Yeah, the Kirkgate, something like that, where, you know, they would be there on the hour or something, you know, they were on their tours or whatever, they would turn up if you needed, if somebody was desperate to actually speak to it. But, you know, it's like casualty in NHS. People come in with the most stupid things sometimes.
I mean, to me,
Serious things.
If you need,
used, yeah.
I mean, if you go in a police station, you speak to a desk constable, sergeant, whatever. I mean, they end up on the phone to Fettes.
Yeah.
So a direct line to Fettes. Surely, you know, you could you could have a dozen phones round Leith to pick up.
Yeah, I think it's 311 31. There is a number, and I've got the number somewhere. It takes you right through to Fettes anyway.
But of course, that also opened the door for Alex to get the boots in about Westminster cuts, which is, as I'd say, time and time again, always going to be Ruth Davidson's problem. Doesn't matter what she brings up, unless she starts moaning about the SNP government not cutting enough. But that's going to go down like a lead balloon with the public.
And what did you think of Wee Willie and his little obsession? Well, he's off School Kids today, and he's on. Well, no, they weren't School Kids.
Well,
they're preschool kids,
long
and he's
ago
on
was the Dalai Lama's visit?
I've no idea. At the end of the day, the Dalai Lama is just this monkey hippie that trots about with peace. I mean, sorry, if they looked at what it was like when the whole place was run by these monks, Tibet wasn't a nice place. Yeah, it's not nice that that China has taken over Tibet and all the rest of it. But I'm sorry, this is the last country to moan, or anybody from an established parties, particularly a liberal, about what colonising countries do to other people. Sorry, we could teach the Chinese a lot. It's rather hypocritical, and really at the end of the day, he just actually makes himself more and more irrelevant, you know.
Well, I mean, it's a very liberal question, if you like, for him to ask, but Salmond seemed very confident in telling him to go back and do his research, that he'd made several speeches concerning human rights in China.
To paraphrase, go back and do your research and be prepared for
an apology.
Prepared for an apology. Yeah. Who was that? That's David Steele, wasn't it? Yeah. Go home.
Go
and prepare for
government.
government. You know. And of course, this is Bailey.
Well, yeah. Actually, Jackie Bailey is beginning to stand out as a communicator on the Labour side.
I think she'd actually, if she was sitting at the front bench, I think she'd be so much better than Joanne. She has a better manner. She's a lot more comfortable with going, because you can see she's like a Labour version of Alec anyway.
She was prepared to have a wee laugh and a wee smile to herself. But it was an interesting one, because it was about the percentage of women on boards. Now, there's Labour land for you.
I'm sorry, I mean,
why are Labour concerned with boards of directors? But there you go.
It's not so much boards of directors, it's right through. And I'm sorry, I'm a straight down the line 50-50. myself. I'm straight
Well,
down the
the-
line,
the-
50-50.
The SNP policy is 60%. That's the target.
No, their policy is 40%,
Sorry, 40%.
and they've hit 38.
And then, yeah.
Well, with some of this is where they can arrange it. I should imagine this is within their scope. They can't impose that on private boards and stuff like that. You know,
Well,
so.
what kind of got me about the whole thing is that Jackie Bailey would bring it up when they were only 2% short of target.
2% short of a full brain.
So in fact,
no.
they introduced this policy 5 years ago, and in 5 years they've upped it by 3%.
Yeah,
Right?
they've done better
So
than
they've
that.
done better than half.
Yeah, I know.
It didn't seem very solid ground for criticism anyway. But I have to say, as far as the way she put it across and everything, she seemed like she's got this thing with numbers. You know.
Yeah, I know. It comes up. Well, mine the one with the 206 with the numbers, which she
Oh.
got with it in the NHS,
Yeah.
which she got wrong that time. But yeah, it is. But see, Labour is actually, because of the last Labour, well, the two Labour administrations. I mean, and I do differentiate between Labour up here and Labour south of the border. And Labour south of the border was, well, Labour south of the border, north of the border was Blairite. And so a lot of the wish lists, they wouldn't have been allowed to do up here anyway. I mean, Scottish Labour up here, well, Scottish Labour did bring in a lot of these something for nothing, all these things. And that was Scottish Labour while they were doing away with them. They, you know, yeah, but kind of hammered. I mean, and one day they might actually wake up. Sorry, yeah, we are Labour, but we are Scottish Labour as opposed to Labour in Scotland.
That's a huge problem for them because they actually can't have their own agenda. But
Well,
you know,
they can try.
well, it's a matter of choice, but they blatantly don't have their own agenda. I mean, Joanne Lamond banging on. I mean, I don't know if you listened to Westminster Question Time yesterday, Prime Minister's Question Time, but it was all about the Big Six. Now, the Big Six exist because of Labour's policies in energy. You know, and Labour took away Ofcom's ability to cap prices.
Yeah. And what neutered, actually, and it is a word to use really, not all of them, but neutered and really destroyed or hampered the Labour group in the Scottish Parliament was when they were picking the candidates initially for 99. I mean, the amount of, I mean, our MP was not back, Mark Lazarovich. Really competent individuals were not back. They wanted place people in there. They wanted pliable people. Susan Deakin, probably one, I mean, who would be a superb First Minister. But she just obviously just had enough of it, went off. She had to go through all sorts of rules to try and get on. Yeah, but they let, I mean, without naming names, but I mean, they let some prize numpties in, you know, I mean, well...
Name names.
No, sorry, you've only got, but yeah, it's when you get caught, when you don't think it through. It's the same when you look at the SNP. Look at a lot of these numpties they've got as backwoodsmen. There's a lot there. I mean,
They
that's
didn't
why...
expect to get
No,
in.
well, that's why they have such tight discipline, you know what I mean? It's like, keep the numpties, keep the dogs in the kennels, keep them quiet. Points.
Overall, Salmond managed to basically rook them. He totaled them.
Oh, he had a perfect day today, yeah. Actually.
And he got to mention lots of things several times, you know, especially Labour's support of the council tax, according to the Dunfermline candidate, new MSP. Right from the start, every opportunity he got, this new consensus on the council tax.
Well, in fact, it seems quite appropriate because if I was the recently deceased Lou Reed, I would say he had a perfect day.
The Christy McKelvey, SNP, who asked the last question on council tax, which was really just a platform for Salmond to say what good guys they've been. Again, he got to mention Labour's support for the council tax. But I'll let you give the final quote of question time.
I've just got it. It's well.
One thing in public.
You say, yeah. He's saying one thing in public, and they were
There's
called
been
saying
a big stushy about Joanne Lamont's line, which was a something for nothing society. Salmond said that he'd gone to the website only to find the speech removed, a speech that she'd won a Herald Award for. But no longer is on the Labour site, and finished with the line, one thing in public, and then another thing in public.
Yeah, as opposed to one thing in, as she's always saying to Salmond, and another thing in private.
Yeah.
You know.
So, scores on the doors.
Well,
let's start with Ruth.
I had a bit of sympathy for what she was bringing up, and it is still in a consultation, so I'll give her 2.
Okay, Gully.
Nothing.
Joanne.
No, she was just so many. She shot herself in the foot and the head and everywhere today. So, I'll be a party hack and give her 4.
Alex.
Yeah, sorry, he had a straight 10. I'm sorry, he did. He had a perfect day.
Ruth. Nah, I mean, she did her job, but she's always going to struggle to find a subject.
And she's a Tory, anyway.
Well, I mean, if she just went Tory and talked about the huge amount of wasted money that the Scottish Government was spending, but even then he could turn around and say, well, they only give us enough to get by, you know, we don't have extra money to spend because of Westminster giving us pocket money. So, you know, but I'll go with a 2. Willie, he's got smart because it's a subject that, you know, the Westminster government isn't going to be criticised for, the coalition, but it limits his subjects. I'm going to give Willie 2 for turning up. Joanne, I'm sorry, 4's way too much. Way too much.
As I said, I was being a party hacker.
When she was reading the script, she was obviously reading the script. When she went off script, she just garbled nonsense. It made no sense. I'm not giving her anything this week. Alex, I'm with you. Great week.
Sorry,
but I'm sorry, it could have been better. So he's only getting 9.
It's just that not only was he spot on the answers, he was thoroughly enjoying himself. I mean, he was on top, always in confidence and all that. Yeah, but a lot of that was actually not so much. I mean, I could take your point with the 9 because I should imagine probably a couple of those were probably not how good you. I mean, it was open goals. I mean, he couldn't he couldn't have done anything else except score strike after strike.
The
presiding officer
had to do a bit of discipline today.
Discipline, yeah, she's not too bad, but I really think she should try chucking somebody out now and again, but then you have to actually lie or that.
They
but
tend to take a telling though.
Yeah, and she wasn't. She did stop proceedings and do it. So
yeah.
Well, yeah. Actually, I'll give her a 7 this week. I'll give her a 7.
I was thinking 7 as well. So, yeah. Okay, the presiding officer, double figures this week, 14. Willie Rennie, bringing up the rear. Sorry, wasn't meant to be a job. 2. Ruth Davidson and Joanne, tie on 4. Which I think says more about Joanne's lack of delivery. But Alex way out ahead on 19. Out of a possible 20, he had a magnificent day today. And I'll be interested to see what the Labour tweeters have to say about that, because they normally try and spin it that Joanne won it. But
I mean, how? I mean, sorry.
No way.
You'd be far easier to try to spin somebody like Jackie Baillie in that position, because she I think would have better, but more ability to think on her feet. She can't. Well, that's why I think the likes of Ken. There are other people there. Really, I mean, I'm sorry, but the polls that were out in Wings Over Scotland, I just dread going into the next Scottish parliamentary elections with Joanne as leader.
Incidentally, I don't suppose there'll be many watch this that don't follow Wings, but Wings had a poll that published on Sunday, basically started putting stuff up. Very interesting reading. If you get the chance, just Google Wings and have a look at all the information. Huge poll. The Herald actually commented that they doubted there was a newspaper could afford to run a poll of that size. All his polls, well, his 2 polls that he's done so far have been crowdsourced, which is quite impressive for an online site.
But apparatchiks will call them biased, as they always will do, because they didn't do it. Well, it was, the polls were that impressive because it wasn't just about independence. It was all about other aspects of Scottish society, what you believed in. So much so that Scotland Tonight had a look at it, and then you had. Yeah. Oh, and then we had Mr. Chairchoob on again with that one, which was, again, yeah, I must admit, he does have a good face, you know what I mean? He would make a good poker player.
He kept the head quite well. I think that'll do us for today, folks, and hopefully we'll have Stuart Lockhead and Alex Grant back next week. But from Phil Attridge and Norris Stewart, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.